Well, we are so glad to have with us this morning Governor Mike Huckabee to respond to a whole bunch of things in the news. Governor, it's good to see you.
Good morning, Governor.
Well, great to be back with you guys.
We thought you would bring along with you this morning a folk singer to apologize to us this morning, but you didn't. Instead, Secretary of State John Kerry decided to go to France and bring along James Taylor to sing You've Got a Friend in front of a French audience. Watch this and we'll get you to respond, Governor.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I will be there, yes, I'll be there. You got a friend.
Obviously, the intentions were great, you know, trying to extend an olive branch here, but was this the way to do it? And how does it compare to former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the Russian reset button?
One word. Awkward. I think there's several songs James Taylor probably could have sung, like Steamroller, maybe Don't Let Me Be Lonely Tonight. But if John Kerry really wanted to sort of show up in Paris with a song, he should have brought what's left of the Beatles to do Can't Buy Me Love. Or maybe he could take Carole King, another contemporary of James Taylor, to do It's Too Late, Baby. But I think the best song that they should have done is bring James Taylor's old flame back, Carly Simon, and have her do You're So Vain. You probably think this is all about you. I mean, it was just an incredible moment to watch this. An embarrassing moment, quite frankly. I mean, I'm sure it had good intentions, but whoever thought that that was a good optic ought to be, you know, maybe the ambassador to Siberia next year.
Well, what was the, I mean, taking it seriously, this is a Secretary of State in a pretty fraught moment. The world is watching. What do you think the point was? What were they thinking when they did this?
Well, I mean, clearly they're embarrassed for the fact that the President of the United States was the only major world leader of any consequence other than Kim Jong-un and Putin, who didn't show up in Paris arm in arm, you know, to show some solidarity with the French. And I guess he was watching football playoffs. As a result, I mean, it was a humiliating experience for the White House, for the State Department. It made America look bad. So they're trying to kiss up and somehow show that, hey, we're really there with you. But, I mean, it's just too little too late. And look, I love James Taylor. I'd love to hear a James Taylor song far more than I'd rather hear a John Kerry speech. But it just didn't really seem to do that kind of diplomatic repair that was probably necessary.
And do we need that, though? I'm torn about this, and I asked Rich Lowry about this a little earlier, because on the one hand, the French newspapers slamming the United States for not showing up arm in arm to walk down the streets of Paris, yet when we call on the rest of the world to join us in the fight against ISIS, they're quiet. You hear crickets. And yet they want us there for a photo op. So what needs to be repaired? Is the photo op and the relationship there need to be repaired, or something deeper?
Well, here's the issue. The issue is America is a superpower. We're a world leader. We're the world leader. We need to act like it. So it's not about always expecting everybody is going to come to our rescue. I think America has to look at itself as a nation that can stand alone. And let me tell you something. The one thing America needs to be able to do is to stand alone, and for everybody on earth to understand that it would love to have the participation and cooperation with every nation on earth to fight terrorism and to fight for liberty. But if we stand alone, we are ready to die on the hill for liberty, because this is more important to us than just having some friends in the world. We're about preserving and protecting liberty for the people of America, and we'll do whatever it takes, and nothing will be ever able to make us second place to anybody. That ought to be our attitude. That ought to be where we focus.
Okay, let's switch gears now, Governor, and talk about this joint press conference that we saw between President Obama and Prime Minister David Cameron of Britain. And we saw President Obama being scared to say the I word. We talked about that at the top of the show, Islamic. But one thing they were on the same page about was these new Iran sanctions proposed by Congress, and the president vowing to veto them if that goes through. What do you make of this?
You know, I'm troubled because I thought the sanctions on Iran were working. It was putting the lid on Iran's economy. It was forcing them to really have to think whether they wanted to accelerate their nuclear program. When we relaxed those sanctions on Iran, it freed up a lot of their economy. It gave their government a second wind. The last thing that Iran needs is this sense of they're going to be relaxed into being able to continue the nuclear program. So I don't understand how this is working. I think the members of Congress are right. And if I look at President Obama's diplomatic situations, he's botched our relationships with Egypt, with Russia. He's botched it with Israel. Why should I think that he's going to be able to do something magnificent with an enemy like Iran, who wants to kill us, for heaven's sakes, and has vowed to?
So Governor Duke announced this week that it would be broadcasting the Muslim call to prayer from the loudspeakers of the Duke University Chapel, originally a Methodist chapel, was originally a Methodist school. There was some outcry, some donors got upset. They pulled back on the idea and said they are not doing that. What do you make of this?
You know, on one hand, I would say in America we have freedom of religion, so if they want to let the Muslims scream out over a speaker, as long as it doesn't interfere with people trying to study for their physics exams, so be it. If, and only if, they let Christian groups on campus also express themselves with the same decibel level of amplification. But all over America, we're seeing Christian groups not only being told they can't use facilities, they can't even have an officially approved club on the campus that's Christian because it might offend somebody. Well, look, one set of rules, apply it to everybody, or don't let anybody practice faith. I think America's big enough for everybody to have a voice rather than to shut down people's voices. Free speech is about more speech, not less. That's what we ought to be seeing. But as long as they're putting the clamps on Christians, then good. Put the clamps on the other groups, too.
Well, Duke issued a statement on it, and they said Duke remains committed to fostering an inclusive, tolerant, and welcoming campus for all of its students. However, it was clear that what was conceived as an effort to unify was not having the intended effect.
Yeah, well, you can't unify, and there's no such thing as tolerance when you're only tolerant of views that are politically correct. And that's what's killing the idea of free speech in America. And I wonder, where are the hippies and the yippies from the 1970s who protested on college campuses for free speech, and now we see restricted speech on college campuses? It's a head-scratcher to me. I don't get it.
I agree.
That just doesn't make sense.
Now. Thank you, Governor. It was great to see you this morning. Mike Huckabee.
If there were only a website
guys.
we could learn more about what the governor's up to, MikeHuckabee.com, I think is.
Thanks, Governor.